The loss to the Thunder, 103-94. James did not play due to a sore knee. And an insider, our ESPN insider, Tom Habershaw, reports while the Cavs are on a roll, LeBron is on pace to have his worst season in years. LeBron falls out of the top 10 when it comes to the real plus-minus, which grades players on their impact on the court. He points to the fact that LeBron isn't as athletic as he used to be. 6 dunks the entire season. Resting due to a sore knee? That's a question mark. But a scout actually tells our brand Windhorse. Here's the deal. LeBron, who could dunk on any player at any time, is probably gone. He's probably never been a better basketball player than he is right now, though. So again, the LeBron of yesteryear that could dunk on any player at any given time is gone. But according to this scout, he's playing the best basketball he's ever played. Stephen A.
By the way, quick point.
Yeah.
I think it's 6 dunks in the half-court offense.
Is it?
Like
it just says 6 dunks.
No, I think it's in the half-court.
I'll ask our researcher.
I read that last night.
Let me ask our researcher.
Okay.
David, you got to get on that. Confirm that for us. But that still doesn't matter because Stephen A. is going to have his own point on this as far as him declining or LeBron being in decline. Do you believe that's true?
I do not believe that is true. And I got to tell you, on one hand, I understand some of these quotes from these anonymous scouts or whatever, but, because obviously when you're covering the league, they got to be careful about what they say. But sometimes they should just shut the hell up. They really, really should, because we'd like to know how accurate their evaluations are. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they are just way off kilter. And, for me, when I look at LeBron James, does he look the same? No. But it's not like it's something that's not recoverable, Skip. It's not like it's something that's gone forever. I think the paleo diet that he was on this summer, I think that, all the things that he was doing, the transition from Miami to back to Cleveland, moving back home, selling the home in Miami, going through all the things that he's gone through along with the dieting and the losing weight or whatever, he might have done something to himself that he had never done before. So there's a level of acclimation that needs to kick in and to take effect. But the reason why I find these comments so insulting, why I find this article so insulting to LeBron James is because he's LeBron James. Now, if you want to sit there and say, like Skip Bayless used to say in the past about the free throws, and at one time I even looked at him and felt he was a bit hesitant to get to the free throw line, and you want to analyze something on that level, I get that. But to look at this dude as a physical specimen, to know the incredible care that he does with his body, how he takes care of himself. I mean, this dude is a locomotive and what have you, and how he tried something different. It's one thing to say, well, we know he did this to himself, and because he did this to himself, he's not the same now. But to act like LeBron James is on the decline and that he's basically finished, that the person that you once saw is no more, what possible proof do you have of that just 25 games into the season? That, to me, is just so asinine, so ridiculous. It explains why so many of these athletes get so damn irritated, not just with this network, but with sports reporters, period, because it's like, where the hell is your logic and your common sense? I mean, the man's been doing something for 12 years, and then 25 games in, he's not doing it anymore, and suddenly he can never do it again? You didn't even give him a season? I don't understand that. I don't understand, especially knowing the changes that took place. Now, the scout did give him credit. He's probably a better basketball player than he ever was and blah, 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 blah. But you got to also understand, I still see LeBron capable of dunking. I still see him capable of doing things. I just see a guy that physically lost some weight and got to get it back and probably lost some strength or whatever the case may be. He was trying something new. Let's see how the season unfolds before we make such ridiculous and insulting proclamations about this guy, because if anybody deserves the benefit of the doubt when it comes to being a physical specimen, it would be LeBron James.
Okay, I'm basically with you here, but let's not gloss over the fact LeBron's human, and he's approaching age 30. And for most people, it's been a long time since I was 30, but that's a milestone for most people where you have to stop and reflect. It's like you're not a kid anymore when you turn 30. Is that fair to say?
That's fair, yeah.
And you start looking at your body and you think, boy, I can't get away with that quite like I used to get away with that.
That's true.
So while I think look, Stephen A., he's over 40,000 minutes in the NBA combined with regular season and playoffs. That's a lot of minutes. That he's on pace before he turns age 30 to eclipse the minutes played by Larry Bird in his entire career. It's a lot of minutes. It's a lot of wear and tear. And he's always the focal point, and much, much is always expected of this man. But while he is declining a little bit, slowly but surely, physically, I'm with you. To me, he is on the rise as a basketball player. And I love the fact that over the last maybe 10, 12 games, he has assumed the point guard responsibilities for the Cavaliers, and it was the key reason, the driving force reason, that they have turned it around so dramatically. But I do think there's some cause for concern here, because I got to tell you, last night, when they announced right before tip-off he's not playing, I have so much respect for this man's durability. I mean, it's close to being superhuman to me, because he takes a pounding every night, and he's a big man. He can take a lot, but still, when you suddenly say he's not going to play because of knee soreness, that's shocking to me, because it never happens to this guy. So I think, remember, he's averaging 38 minutes a game, which is the second most in the NBA, after he went through the whole offseason talking about, I want the Popovich method here. I want my new coach to rest me some, to keep me as fresh as Duncan and Parker and Ginobili were for the finals last year, and the way Pop rests all of his older players. Not happening. He's playing 38 minutes. It's a lot, man. You got to be careful. They're going to have to back off.
But, Skip, no one's refuting what you're saying. But you need to understand, you're not saying what the article said.
No, I'm
you're
not.
You're talking about father time. You're talking about attrition naturally kicking in, albeit incrementally or what have you. Skip, you are a Spurs fan. You saw Tim Duncan look done 4, 5 years ago. And then all of a sudden come back. And it's like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because you change your diet.
He did.
You lose weight.
He did.
You try new things. And so those kind of things happen.
Okay.
I have no problem with a scout or anybody saying, well, LeBron does not look the same. But bring into account the diet. Bring into account the modifications that took place in his off-season regimen.
Yeah.
They take those things into account and say, whatever he was doing, he did something different, and it doesn't appear to be working to the same degree, etc. But to act like you saw something so flagrant in him that tells you, that suggests to you that he could never be what he was, that to me is insulting, because there is no way on earth that you see that drop-off in LeBron James' game. I see a guy that's very judicious about what he's doing. But have we also taken into account, Skip, the psychological impact? Guess what, Skip Bayless? LeBron James, for the past 4 years, have been in the finals. 4 consecutive years.
It's unbelievable.
That's true.
So guess what, y'all? Is it possible
Yeah.
that a game in the regular season doesn't mean that much, that it's more difficult to get amped up and excited the way you once did?
Yeah.
That could play a role as well. Why do you think that back in the day you could not have told Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili and Tim Duncan, you're going to play less than 30 minutes? Even with Pop, they might have raised their voice. We saw Tony Parker on the sideline one time a couple of years ago. I'm 29 years old. I haven't played. What's the matter? And Pop's like, okay. So what I'm saying to you is, but they didn't have any problem accepting that last year.
No.
Why? Because when you accomplish something mentally, it's like, okay, been there, done that, and I understand now that this isn't nearly as important, and I don't need to push the way that I once did. That doesn't mean you lost something so significant. It means you're mindful of farther time. That's all.
Okay, so there's one glaring stat that was pointed out in the Haberstraw article, and that is that, and it's still, we're early in this year, and he's new back to Cleveland, new teammates, blah, blah, blah. We get all that. But right now, LeBron James is making only 60% of his shots in the paint, an area he used to own, to dominate. That is 37th in the NBA right now. And you have to accept this. You have to acknowledge his knees might be a little achy. You know, he might not have quite the spring and the lift that he used to have in the paint to finish.
Well, Skip, that's a possibility because he just sat out last night's game, and I'm quite sure he would have loved to have played against Kevin Durant. But the flip side to it is, Skip, think about this. You're in the Eastern Conference. You're not playing with Miami, where even when you're in the post, you're the lone guy down there because Chris Bosh is outside.
Agree.
You've got Anderson Varejao. You've got Tristan Thompson. You're playing with a new team. You're playing a different game. So maybe because that's the case, and it's a big clog, and the floor isn't spread out the way that it used to be with a Mario Chalmers, with a D Wade, with a Ray Allen, with a Chris Bosh. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'm just simply saying there's a lot that goes into it other than you saying, oh, the dude's skills. He's LeBron James. I need to see more than 20, 25 games to accuse this man of that.
All right, last point. You know, I was in Chicago and covered the end of Michael Jordan's Bulls run. As you well know, he had pretty much reinvented himself as a basketball player later in his career. Now, he got a little bigger and a little stronger. He got more physical, and he definitely began to perfect all of his outside shooting, his mid-range jumper and his three-point shots much better. LeBron is a far, far better shooter than he was in his first 3 years in this league because he has worked his tail off to become, at the free throw line and even the three-point line or the mid-range line, a much better shooter. But it's starting to look Michael-esque here, Jordan-esque, where you have to concede some things to Father Time, but you can still be just as good, if not better, because you can use your mind and you can use your strength and your touch.
You can concede it, and that time will come. All I'm trying to say is that we need more than 20 games to sit there and say it's already there, because we know what he did in the offseason. It's an adjustment.
Okay. 6 dunks in traffic, my friend.
In traffic?
Yes, 6 dunks in traffic.
Like when they're running their hat. That's how I took it. On the breakaway things, he's going to get his bunnies, you know.
They'll give it to him easy.
Sure.
You know, we just have to learn to appreciate greatness better instead of always willing to question it sometimes. I mean, sometimes dudes are just that great. You got to appreciate it.
Yeah, the expectations have been set, and you're not appreciating how good he is. He could, as you said, he's pacing himself. He turns 30 December 30th. Happy early birthday, LeBron James. The last time these two rivals met in Philly,